Well, hello everyone. Happy Monday. I wanted to create a video for you to kind of give you some focus this week on how to prepare for the timed writing next week. So I'll jump right in. If you go into coursework and then go down to the Module 2 folder, I want to show you a few things that you can go back and look over and a few new things you can do. Here's the time graded essay assignment, and if you go into that folder, I'm scared to open it because I don't know if my view will show you the test, but if you go into it, it'll show you a link to the article, and you should go ahead and start reading the article, get super familiar with it, print out a copy. You're welcome to use the article while you write your essay next week. In fact, you should have the article right in front of you and be familiar with it and have notes on it. That's not cheating. So do make sure you click into this folder and you grab a copy of the article for next week's timed writing. I'm going to go into this practice essay assignment. That's what you completed for yesterday is when it was due. And you were to read this article, All Work, No Play, Why Your Kids Are More Depressed or More Anxious, Depressed. And then here's the prompt for it. The prompt says that based on the article, describe how playtime has changed for children over the past few decades. How does Enton believe these changes negatively affect children's emotional development? Well, let's first talk about what's not in this prompt. There's nothing in this prompt that asks for anything about your life, anything about what playtime was like for you as a kid, or anything about your opinions about this topic. So sometimes an essay assignment will call for your opinion. This one does not. This one says describe, and it starts off, it says based on the article, it names the article, gives the author's name, Esther Enton, it's a female. Based on the article, describe how playtime has changed for children over the past few decades, and how does Enton believe these changes negatively affect children's emotional development? So the strategy I would say you should try is to get out a sheet of paper and create a column for everything in the article that tells about how playtime has changed for children, and then create a column for, or an entire page, however you visually want to set it up on the page, but create a section with the heading negative emotional effects or negative effects on children's emotional development. Just give it that heading, something like that. And as you read through the article, you're going to jot down details from the article that tell us how playtime has changed, and details from the article on how the changes affect children's emotional development. Once you have all those bulleted points, you have all your content basically for your essay, minus all the connecting pieces. And those connecting pieces are what we've really been working on. And that is, and if you kind of peek down here, it's your thesis, your topic sentences, your supporting details. And I'm going to get to this in a little bit because this is an activity based on that Oprah essay you wrote. It was the practice, the ungraded practice. And I will tell you how you can use this document to further your skills and prepare for the timed writing. But back to this. So you have your notes, and you take the notes as you are reading the article multiple times and jotting down notes. And then you have what's going into your essay, as I said. You have to have an introduction, you have to have a conclusion, and then your body paragraphs will be paragraphs about how playtime has changed and about the negative effects on children's emotional development. So you are allowed in the introduction and in the conclusion to write something personal. Those are the only two places where that is allowable based off of this prompt, since this prompt does not ask for any personal opinions or personal experience. So your introduction may sound something along the lines of, when I was a child, I loved playing outside from sunup to sundown. In fact, we didn't even come in until the streetlights came on. Today, playtime is much different for children. According to the article, All Work and No Play, Why Your Kids Are More Depressed Anxious by Esther Inton, children's playtime has changed over the past few decades, and these changes have negative effects on children's emotional development, period. All right, that last statement I made is one sentence long, and it comes at the end of the introduction, and we call it the thesis statement. It is the statement that captures everything that the prompt wants us to capture in the essay. Now, it doesn't cover all the details of the essay. It gives an overview of everything that's going to be captured. So based off of the prompt says to base the whole essay on the article. So it's imperative that in our thesis statement, we include the title of the article in quotation marks and the author's name, and this idea that playtime has changed, and the idea that the changes have had a negative effect on children. So those four ideas have to be captured in what's called the thesis statement, which is a one-sentence statement. And for the sake of this class, we're going to place that thesis statement as the last sentence in our introduction, just because we're just learning how to do this, so we're going to be a little formulaic with it. It's not a rule or a law about writing. All right, and then we're going to take all those details from our notes, all those bulleted points about how playtime has changed, and all of those bulleted points about the negative effects, and we're going to put them in paragraphs. So we've written our first paragraph, our introduction. We ended it with the thesis statement, and then it's time to move into the first body paragraph. And we know we're going to start by talking about the ways playtime has changed. So we need the type of wording that a topic sentence would have. And the topic sentence is the first sentence of the paragraph. So your second paragraph of your essay, which is your first body paragraph, would start something along the lines maybe of one way that playtime has changed for kids over the last few decades, according to Esther Inton, is, and you could name one of the bulleted points. Then the rest of that paragraph will stay on that detail. It'll prove it and explain it. When you're done with that point, you'll start a new paragraph. That paragraph will start with a topic sentence. So maybe the next paragraph will start with a sentence along the lines of, another way playtime has changed, as stated in the article, All Work and No Play, Why Our Kids Are More Depressed, Anxious, such and such. So the next way that playtime has changed. And then you give the details of that point you're making. You continue that way, and there's no rule that says you have to have just as many paragraphs on the ways playtime has changed as you have paragraphs on the negative effects on children's emotional development. You have what you have, and if the article talks more about one of those things than the other, then you're going to have more to say, and that's just natural. So we just know that you're going to have at least one introduction. Well, not at least. You're going to have one introductory paragraph, one and only. You're going to have one concluding paragraph, and then you're going to have body paragraphs. You might have several paragraphs on the idea that playtime has changed, on the ways, and then you may have a couple paragraphs on the negative effects before you move into your conclusion. So that's a little bit on the thesis statement, topic sentences, and supporting details, and how they all connect together. And that's how you address and that's how you tackle this type of writing. So when you did the same thing with the Oprah essay, and I'll show you this activity, this is supposed to represent as if we had pulled out sentences from just a bunch of different people's essays. So this isn't supposed to be sentences from one essay. This would be like, I looked at everybody's Oprah essay from that prompt and pulled different sentences, is kind of the scenario you can imagine. And what you would do to maximize this activity is you would go through each sentence. Oprah would make an excellent president, and you determine based on the prompt, and the prompt was, if you remember, do you believe Oprah would make an exceptional president? Why or why not, based off of what the author said about it. So it is very relevant to say Oprah would make an excellent president if that's what your opinion was, because that prompt did ask for your opinion. It asked for your opinion using details from the article. So what you would do is you'd go through each numbered sentence here and you'd determine, yes, that sentence could go in an essay for that prompt that was given, or no, it doesn't belong. The next one says Donald Trump and Oprah Winfrey have very different leadership styles, according to Cohn. That's an absolute no. There was nothing in the prompt that made reference to Donald Trump or that asked you to write about any comparison between them. Yes, the article talks about it, but no, the prompt does not ask for any details on that. You have to stick with what the prompt says. So you would go through this whole worksheet, 1 through 15, and you'd answer yes or no. And then for anything you had a yes for, you'd say, hey, that sounds like a thesis statement, which would mean it's all encompassing of the prompt. Or that sounds like a topic sentence. It sounds like it would be the first sentence of a paragraph and that it supports one of the points or the point of the thesis. And a supporting detail is just going to be, it's going to be really specific. It's going to maybe be a statistic or an example. And those would be the things we'd find within a paragraph. The answer key is right here. And I see it's hidden, so I'm going to make it available so you can check your answers on that. So I also have a similar activity on the practice essay you did. So let me find, here's the practice essay. I have the same type of activity where you would say yes or no, and I will try to post that so you can get further practice. But I hope this has been helpful in explaining to you not only what's going to be coming up next week on the timed essay, but how you will want to approach this and how it can be just a very easy, smooth process from the second you get your prompt to taking notes from the article, very intentional notes based off of the prompt, pulling out details that go with what the prompt asks and that will go into your essay, and then organizing those into paragraphs with an introductory paragraph with a thesis statement at the end, and then body paragraphs, which all will start with a topic sentence, and then supporting details within each body paragraph, and then a concluding paragraph. So please continue to work on everything. I will point out one more activity in coursework that could help you for this week. And this is the activity on thesis statements, topic sentences, and supporting details. So what I did here is here's this worksheet. I created 3 sample prompts. Let's see. Looking for, oh, here they are. Sorry, the prompts are right here at the front. So here are 3 prompts. According to the article by John Stevens, Eat Your Veggies, what are the reasons Stevens promotes a vegetarian lifestyle? So what I'm trying to emphasize in this activity is just how you can organize topic sentences and thesis statements without even having the knowledge of what's in the material, because part of the structure of a thesis statement and a topic sentence has to do with just using wording from the prompt. So there is no article for you to read called Eat Your Veggies, but with this scenario, and if you are pretending like there was, I've got some questions for you below. So, and then there's a second prompt. Using the poem The Subway by Joan Anderson, in what ways are Anderson's descriptions of the subway typical? And in what ways are the descriptions surprising and unusual? So this activity is giving you an opportunity to see if you can zone in on what each prompt is really asking you to write about. So the first thing I have you doing is I have you analyzing what type of prompt this sounds like it is, like what class it would come from. So number 1, according to the article by John Stevens, Eat Your Veggies, what are some reasons Stevens promotes a vegetarian lifestyle? So you would maybe be learning about a vegetarian lifestyle in what type of class. So that's what you would fill in there. Number 2, if you were analyzing a poem, what kind of class would you do that in? So I want you to fill the blank in for that. Number 3, some historians believe that Taft was one of the least memorable and non-productive U.S. presidents. Using the information from our text and lectures, explain why this belief exists. So this sounds like it would come from what type of class? So for each of the essay prompts above, 1, 2, and 3, you will create one thesis statement. So that's a sentence that captures what you would be writing about. And then 3 topic sentences. You can make up details. Here's an example right here. So I gave a sample prompt here using your textbook and class notes and at least 2 outside sources. Describe the differences between the First World War and the Second World War. So, and I asked the question, what class would this be for? And of course, you know, it sounds like it's from a history class. And then I created a thesis statement. There's no notes or anything to look at, but if I was given the task to write about the differences between the 2 wars, then an acceptable thesis statement would be, there are several distinct differences between World War I and World War II. I'm just stating that there are several distinct differences. You could preview the differences if you wanted, but you don't need to. The thesis statement is just committing to the idea of what the paper is going to be about, which is the distinct differences between the 2 wars. And then I came up with, and I made up details for this. And you see those transitional words being used. One major difference between, and I'm just repeating the prompt in my thesis statement. Another difference between the 2 wars was the amount of casualties that resulted. So I'm just making up a detail, and that's what you're going to do for the ones above. So look at my sample and then try your hand at creating a thesis statement and topic sentences for these mock prompts. So these sources don't exist. There's not really an article called Eat Your Veggies or a poem called The Subway, and we're not a history class, so there are no class notes about Taft. So, but I want to prove to you that part of what you're doing with a thesis statement, a topic sentence, doesn't even have to do with the sources that you're using. I hope this is helpful. I hope you'll reach out if you have questions, and I will continue to post videos throughout the semester. Take care.